But the question he asked, as most CEX, centralized exchange, not CEXs and CEX, users are quite siloed there and have often no DEX experience, will LeoDex publish ads on Binance, Kraken, or Coinbase front ends to attract a part of that audience? What's the marketing of LeoDex planned?
Yeah, I think, and especially initially, our target audience is the cross-chain world. So these are people that are already familiar with things like THORChain, Maya, ChainFlip, and Rango, but who are looking for a better UI, and one that also offers, one of our other advantages is that we've got the Leo token. So a lot of other UIs don't have their own token, or if they do have a token, it's not very successful. One thing with Leo is that, we've had a token for 6 years. So we have a token that already has a lot of utility, already has a lot of use case, already has a wide distribution in terms of users and stakeholders. And then we're bringing all of that to LeoDex. So, in Leo's place in the ecosystem is only benefited by LeoDex being there too. So in terms of marketing, I think what we need to do initially is just make sure that we've got the best swap UI UX possible. So when someone comes to LeoDex from the cross-chain ecosystem, they're already familiar with other swapping UIs. We need to make sure that when they see LeoDex, they see something that is superior to what they've experienced in the cross-chain world. And then in addition to that, they should also see more benefit in using LeoDex than other UIs. So people will tend towards UIs that they think are easy to use and good to use, and also UIs that they trust. So the more trust we can build for LeoDex, the better as well. Where if someone's coming in to do a $300,000 swap, they want to know that swap's going to work. So building up that trust is going to take time. And then obviously, we have to work out bugs, and we just have to make the swapping experience as great as we possibly can. But as we continue to do that, I think we'll just start to see more and more swappers. And then over time, as we get that product market fit within the ecosystem, we can slowly start to expand outside of that and start looking towards, people who are not familiar with the cross-chain Dex ecosystem, and then onboarding them to LeoDex, which again, in Leo helps us with that because we have a lot of kind of normie level users who don't use DEXs right now, who can start to learn how DEXs work. And we can kind of tap into a much broader audience, I think, with the community that we've already got.
Lord Shaw asked, what about the transaction speed? Is this quicker than other mainstream DEXs? Have you compared the speeds? Well, I would presume the speeds on the swaps are based upon the blockchains they're located on, the exception being Hive and HBD, which of course then that goes through often, or a lot of things go through Hive Engine, and that's just another layer that slows things down, but you don't really have any control over the speed, do you?
No, we don't have any control over the speed. So what we can do in terms of speed is that we are able to quote you the fastest and the cheapest swaps across all 4 protocols simultaneously. Whereas right now, if you want to do that, there's a few UIs that allow you to do that, but most of them don't allow all 4 protocols at the same time. So what we're able to do is just let you choose the current fastest and the current cheapest, or again, a mix of the two. And then, it's the user's choice from there, which protocol to swap through. And then as those protocols, like I said, all these protocols are really competing with centralized exchanges. So if you ever look at, what THORChain, Maya, and ChainFlip are trying to work on, they're all trying to make swaps faster and cheaper. So as they make their swaps faster and cheaper, LeoDex just benefits from that because, we're just quoting from the protocol. So if THORChain suddenly has, 10x faster swaps, then LeoDex suddenly has 10x faster swaps because we're just an interface. So it's and these teams are relentless in terms of building. Like the updates are pretty much on a weekly basis in terms of THORChain, Maya, ChainFlip. They're all updating things on a very regular basis and not only innovating new features, but also making things more efficient and just continuously scaling. One thing that really excites me about the cross-chain ecosystem is, well, I guess two big things. One is that the teams are incredibly talented, and they're all very focused on this big mission of it is Dex versus CEX, and you would think that like THORChain, Maya, and ChainFlip wouldn't like each other, but on the mass majority, they all are trying to help each other succeed. Like for example, the Maya team right now is helping THORChain launch TCY, which is supposed to help with the lending crisis that happened on THORChain a few months back. Technically, Maya is a direct competitor of THORChain. Like it's, if you're swapping on THORChain, it means you're not swapping on Maya. That being said, these teams are so set on the mission is so much bigger than just our little pie and how are we competing against THORChain. They're not even looking at that. They're looking at how is the Dex ecosystem, which includes Maya, THORChain, and ChainFlip, competing against the centralized exchange ecosystem, Binance, Coinbase, etc. So they've already chosen their side. And their side is the side of Dex. They don't care which protocol it is. I think that's a really incredible thing. So when you start to, like we've been working with these teams, obviously, on this update and other things, and these teams just want to help you. I mean, like they are active in the space. They cannot wait for you to succeed. And they look at LeoDex V3 and they're like, what can we do to help you get there faster? How can we help you make it better? So it's a really incredible space. In terms of that. And then the other thing that excites me about this space specifically is that there's a lot of money in this space in terms of potential, people look at total addressable market, but in terms of like potential revenue, there's a ton of money in the space of swapping. And you see it with centralized exchanges. They're the most successful businesses in crypto. And decentralized exchanges are these protocols are scaling their revenues. So there's a lot of money in it for the protocol. And then the DEX interfaces are also scaling up and seeing more and more revenue come in, which means that all the different teams, including us, are able to tap into actual revenues and continue to build in a much more sustainable way than in most sectors of the crypto industry where there isn't a lot of money. I mean, there's almost no money in crypto. The ironic thing is that crypto is money, but then when you're building in this space, there's a lot of things that you work on where there is no potential revenue in it. So there is a lot of potential revenue in this DEX ecosystem. So those two things just really excite me in terms of focusing on LeoDex.